The first folk tale that you will hear is about a wolf who tries to become friends with a family of goats. Listen carefully to identify what makes it a folk tale and find out how the wolf and baby goats, or kids, become friends. If you're already familiar with this folk tale, listen to see how this version might be different from the one that you know. Stories are often created from people's imaginations. They are not real. If you've ever had someone tell you a story, not reading a book, but simply telling the story from memory, the next story you will hear is a folk tale. A folk tale is different from other kinds of stories. Folk tales are stories that are passed down from person to person orally or by word of mouth instead of being written down. For example, a grandmother might tell a story to her grandchildren, and later, those children will tell their story to their children who pass it down to the others. In this way, folk tales are passed down from generation to generation. Every culture in the world, every nation and group of people has its own folk tales. It wasn't until very recently that some of these stories were actually written down. Folk tales are made-up stories. Stories that are made up or created from someone's imagination are known as fiction. Today's story is called The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids. There once was a mother goat who had 7 little kids, and she loved them as well as any mother has ever loved her children. A kid is another word for a baby goat. One day she gathered her 7 kids all around her and said, "Dear children, I must go to the forest to get food for us. While I am away, do not open the door for anyone, especially the wolf. You will always know it is him by his rough voice and by the dark gray fur on his paws." "Don't worry, Mother," said the kids. "We will take good care of ourselves." So the mother goat bleated, or cried out, "Goodbye," and went on her way with a calm mind. Meanwhile, the wolf was all alone in the forest. He never had anyone to play with, as the other animals were scared of him. This made him quite sad, but he thought maybe if the 7 kids just got to know him, they would want to play with him. The wolf decided he would disguise himself in order to get the kids to give him a chance. Soon there came a knock at the door, and a voice called out, "Open the door, my dear children. Your mother is back and has brought you each something." But oh, what a rough voice. The kids thought it surely must be too soon for their mother to be back. "No, we won't open the door," cried the kids. "Our mother has a sweet, gentle voice, and yours is rough. You must be the wolf." And so the kids went on playing, feeling very proud of themselves. The wolf felt very sad, for he could not help that his voice was rough. He ran off to a store where he bought a big lump of a special kind of chalk, which he ate to make his voice soft. Then he came back and knocked on the door and called out in a gentle voice, "Open the door, my dear children. Your mother is back and has brought you each something." The wolf felt sure that this time the kids would open the door and he could prove to them that he was actually a very nice wolf. But the poor wolf had put his paws against the window, and the kids could see his dark gray fur. "No, we won't open the door," cried the kids. "Our mother's feet do not have dark gray fur. You must be the wolf." Again, the kids went on playing, feeling even prouder that they had identified the wolf by his paws. Again, the poor wolf felt sad, for he could not help that his fur was dark gray. And so he ran to the baker. "Baker," he said, "please spread some dough over my paws." And when the baker had coated his paws with dough, the wolf went to the miller. A miller is a person who works in a mill and makes flour. "Miller," he said, "please sprinkle some white flour over my paws." Now the wolf's feet looked just like the mother goat's. The wolf thought for sure this time the kids would open the door so he could show them what a nice and fun wolf he was. For a third time, the wolf went to the door and knocked, and said in a gentle voice, "Open the door, my dear children. Your mother is back and has brought you each something." The wolf was almost smiling. He was excited to play with the kids. "First, show us your feet," said the kids, and the wolf put his white, flower-covered paws against the window. "Yes, this must be our dear mother," said the kids, and they opened the door. In pounced the wolf, ready to play. The terrified kids tried to hide because they did not know that the wolf was actually nice. The first ran under the table, the second crawled under the bed, the third hid under the rug, the fourth ran to the kitchen, the fifth jumped into a cupboard, the sixth ran under the tub, and the seventh climbed inside a big grandfather clock. The wolf thought the kids must be playing a great game of hide and seek. He thought if he found them all, the kids would finally want to play with him. So the wolf found them all that is, except for the youngest, who was hiding in the grandfather clock. The other kids were so scared that when the wolf found them, they passed out asleep. The wolf was so scared that the other animals would blame him, so he took the kids into the forest to wait for them to wake up. The wolf, tired from all the excitement, strolled into the forest, lay down under a tree, and fell into a deep sleep next to the six sleeping kids. A short while later, the mother goat came home, and quite a sight met her eyes. The door stood wide open. Tables and chairs were thrown all about. Dishes were broken. Quilts and pillows were torn off of beds. She called out for her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called each one again, but no one answered until she called the name of the youngest kid. "Here I am, Mother," a little voice cried. "Here I am inside the big grandfather clock." The mother goat helped her youngest child out of the clock. Now, the youngest kid was quite sensitive and had realized that the wolf thought the kids were playing a game of hide and seek. He told his mother so, and they went off into the forest to find the other kids and the wolf and explain the misunderstanding. There they saw the wolf fast asleep under a tree, snoring so hard that he shook the branches. When the mother goat saw the rest of her kids sleeping there, hidden behind the big wolf, "Dear me," she thought, "how peaceful they are sleeping." No sooner had she thought that than one by one her little kids, and finally the wolf, woke up. When the kids woke up, they saw their dear mother and the youngest brother smiling at them, and they instantly felt happy. Their mother told them that the poor wolf was actually a kind animal who had just wanted to play, and they all danced around, celebrating their newfound friendship with the wolf. Who does the mother goat warn her kids about? Where do the kids stay while the mother goat goes into the forest? Who knocks on the door and pretends to be the mother goat? Why does the mother goat tell her kids that the wolf has a rough voice and dark gray fur on his paws? Why does the wolf eat chalk and put dough and flour on his paws? What happens when the wolf gets in the house? What does the wolf really want with the kids? Remember that The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids is a special kind of fiction story. What kind of fiction is this story? How do you know it's fiction? Why is The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids a folk tale? What makes it a folk tale? Terrified, very scared. Example, the terrified mouse ran away from the cat. Terrified. In the read aloud you heard, the terrified kids tried to hide because they did not know the wolf was actually nice. Say the word terrified with me. Terrified. When someone is terrified, he or she is very scared. Mia is terrified of thunderstorms because she doesn't like loud noises. Have you ever been terrified of something or heard a story about someone who is terrified? Try to use the word terrified when you tell about it. What's the word that we were talking about? Give me a thumbs up if this is something you would be terrified of. A puppy. A lightning bolt. A rainbow. A tree. A wolf. A star.